If you set your mind to it, if you do what I know you can do, you will become a knight.
Hello everybody, this is Grace Gardner with my very first video review. I'll be reviewing the Netflix series The Letter for the King. In 1962, the Dutch publishing company Leopold published a book by an author called Tonke Dracht. The book was called The Brief voor de Koning. Later was translated into English under the title of The Letter for the King. And now in 2020 it has become the very first Dutch book to be transformed into a Netflix series. The teen actors called the series completely different from the book. They said that the book was so great that you would fail if you tried to make a televised edition of it. Depending on whether you liked the original book, this could either be a very big disappointment or something that makes you very happy. Let's talk about the plot first. Without getting into spoilers, let's just say the plot is a lot darker. It hinges completely on black magic. And whereas the setting in the original book was medieval Europe, here it is a world that's completely new and where spirit worship seems to be the norm. Any reference to Christianity has actually been erased or made really scary. Another thing that is different from the book is that there is a lot more insight into what is going around in the entire world of the story. In the book, we only see what happens to Churi and what he is going through. In the series, we also see what's going on at other places in the countries. This is nice because you actually get to see what's going on in a more global scale, and it gives you better insight into what's at stake. But it might also become a little bit boring for people who aren't interested in political intrigue and royal love triangles, that kind of thing. That's not the only thing that makes the plot unclear. There are also a lot of points that seem to come out of nowhere, as if the writers just wanted to suddenly decided to put those in, and we're like, yeah, let's just put it in there. And that makes those scenes pretty uncomfortable, especially where romance is involved, because, yeah, those characters didn't have any chemistry before, and they don't have any after, they just kiss, and that's it. Other plot points, they make no sense, are just there to further the story. This usually consists of a character doing something extremely stupid that nobody would ever do, but it furthers the plot. Great. Works, I guess. And another thing about the plot, there were some points that were never resolved. They weren't exactly just thrown in or plot holes, but I don't know, maybe they were leaving it open for a second season. They could be doing that. But these points, they came in the beginning, were forgotten about in the middle, and then came back in the end. These loose ends kind of made me feel as if I had missed something. I didn't really know whether I was the one who didn't get something or whether I'd missed an episode. The climax was very anticlimactic, actually. Throughout the entire series, we had great fight scenes with lots of action, and then eventually we had this one big magic cloud fight between the one good person and the one evil person. It wasn't really impressive because, yeah, I mean, it would have been if we hadn't been so used to these special effects already. They were just kind of thing you see everywhere. I would have preferred maybe, I don't know, a sword fight, something like that. There were quite a few changes in the characters as well. First off, there were more female characters. I like that. But they were all really cliches. We had the royal one, the hardened tomboy with wicked fighting skills, and the one who acts like they have no emotion but really just want to be loved. So I was rather disappointed in them, and they weren't very original, so I didn't really like them. I didn't really think they added anything to the story except they were important to the plot. I'll give them that. They were actually important, so that's good. Both the protagonist, Churi, and the antagonist, Viridian, weren't very interesting. Churi is this 15-year-old boy, and he gets sent on a quest to deliver this really important letter to the king of another country. In the books, he was this normal guy. He wasn't really wonderful at anything, but he wasn't horrible at anything either. He just did the stuff he had to do. In the series, he's pretty much your cliche loser. He doesn't do anything well, and he gets bullied, that kind of thing. It might have been interesting if they had actually done something with this, but his weakness never really gets resolved. It's just there. They never do anything with it. His sidekick, Lavinia, well, she wasn't very well rounded. We didn't really find out what her problem was. On the one hand, she seemed to hate that everybody in her hometown only wanted money because her hometown was really corrupt. On the other hand, she was exactly the same way. She wouldn't help you unless you, gave her money or something. So, maybe they were trying to say she was a hypocrite, or that the surroundings rubbed off on her. But if they were trying to do that, they didn't do it very effectively. And like I said, the antagonist, they could have gone in any direction they wanted with him, because he didn't even feature in the books. He didn't actually ever come up. He was there. He was a part of the book, but he never really came into any scenes. You never saw him. Sadly, they went with this really typical dark guy whose only defining character trait was being a creep, who, as I said, likes the dark. And you never really find out exactly what his motivations are or what his deal was. He just something about a prophecy, and making the world better, but I don't know. I never really knew what his deal was. It was kind of weird. Shuri is joined by a band of 15-year-old apprentice knights. The first one was the aforementioned hardened fighter.
We've got her, and she's the most ruthless scum of us all. I meant that in a good way.
I didn't really like her. She was mean and, acted like she was haughty. I don't know. It could have been because she had some kind of emotional trauma, but that was never really implied. I don't think it was implied anyway. And basically there was not... The only thing that was done with her character, I didn't really like it, but I'm not going to tell you what it was, because that's going to be a spoiler. The other person who joined them on his journey is Armin.
How do you get a letter to the king? You think just anyone can waltz in and see the most powerful man in the world?
Well, on the one hand, he was a rather stereotypical bully that, he wasn't very interesting, but his journey to being a nice guy was actually really interesting, because he had good moments and he had bad moments. So maybe one moment he was all being nice, and then the next moment he was back to being his same old jerk again. I like that, because usually in movies you see, something happens and the bully suddenly becomes this good guy. And here it didn't happen. It was pretty, for my feeling, I felt it was really realistic, because, he didn't become good all of a sudden. It was a struggle for him. It was clear that was a struggle, so I liked seeing that. But the three characters that really held my interest were Giuseppo, Foldo, and Piak. If you already know Piak, in the book, he had a way, way bigger plot relevance. He was a lot more important character. I don't really remember the book that well, because it has been a long time since I read it. Pretty much a very long time. But I did actually like Piak, the character in the series. He was like this little cute guy. He wasn't very special. I just liked watching him. He had a cute face. He was a 10-year-old, that kind of cute. I liked him. I liked seeing him. Then there's Foldo. He was basically a bit like the mom friend, the friend who tries to keep everybody on the right track. Like, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe this is wrong. Guys, seriously, why are we doing this? It's a bad idea. That kind of guy, And it was nice to seeing him. For example, at one point they all have a snowball fight while in a potentially very dangerous situation. And you see this really short frame, it's really short. But you see him before he joins in with the fun. He's first like, oh guys, why are we doing this? It's a really bad idea. What is going on, guys? Don't stop it. He's trying to, not exactly like that, what is going on, but more like he is the mom friend, the one who is trying to stop everybody from doing something really stupid. And then he joins in, so he also has a sense of fun. And I liked seeing his characterization. It was really clear. I like this guy. I like seeing him in action too. And Giuseppo, he was, the quirky bard guy. I liked him too. It was very clear what his personality was, what he loved, what to do, what he liked. So I really liked seeing these guys in action. And that was actually the only reason I kept watching, because I liked seeing their characters and, them becoming more mature and seeing how they progress through the series. There wasn't really an overarching message, but there were some smaller messages that the show seemed to want to make us believe. First off, there were various characters who were obviously evil, and who obviously enjoyed killing people and basically being the scum of the earth. But still the show tried to make us like them. There's this one guy with a red beard called Jaro, and he's just a bad guy. He's not even, even when he's being kind, he's being evil. But still the show tries to make us like him, because if he has a sense of humor, and he's portrayed in such a way that he becomes sympathetic. So basically the show tried to make us like the bad guys. Another message the show tried to make us believe was that Christianity is bad and, well, scary. At one point during the series, this is episode 3, Lavinia and Jerry have to take shelter during a snowstorm in a monastery. Okay, there seems to be this equation in Hollywood that monasteries are always scary. And let's just say, I watched this during the middle of the day on a tiny phone screen with my headphones in, pretty much bathed in light. I still skipped it. It was scary, it was disturbing, it wasn't necessary because the plot points that were thrown up in this were completely forgotten about later on. I didn't know, don't. It was a bad idea to watch that, seriously. There seems to be another main idea that mostly concerned one of the characters, and that was that if you're born into some kind of group, you can never become part of another group. This person was a street rat and trying to be a knight. And at one point they're told, hey, you'll never belong with them, just come with us. And the show seemed to say this was a good idea, that basically you can't go against your nature. And that's obviously nonsense, because anybody, I mean, of course you need money and stuff, but if you're born into a poor civilization, and you want to become, in this case, they wanted to become a knight, they were well on their way to becoming a knight. So it was strange that they stopped just because they felt they didn't fit in, because they obviously did. Everybody just accepted them. There was literally no problem until they made it a problem. Another thing that would be good to know is the intensity of some scenes. Like I said, episode 3 is definitely something you should watch out for if you're planning on watching this with young children, or whether you yourself are a bit scared of the dark. Also, there's lots of fight scenes. You never see any blood or anything, but they can get pretty intense. So I don't suggest you watch this if you're under 12 years old and even slightly nervous of the dark. And if you're anything like me, you shouldn't watch it either, because I regretted that for the next couple of nights. That was not a good idea. Before I go on, there's a spoiler in this warning, so there you go. I'll put it in the timestamps so you can skip it. You ready? 3, 2, 1, pay. Okay, so, there's a gay relationship in this. Well, if you don't like that, there's your warning. If you do like it, I don't think you're gonna like this one, because there was no build-up. It was as if the writers just decided to make some representation, so they decided to take these two characters and make them fall in love with each other. So it was that was one of those awkward scenes that I mentioned, that you're just watching it and it felt as if they hadn't had anything up to that point, and it was very forced. So, that was the spoiler, let's go on. So when I first heard about this series, I was very happy, because this book, I really loved it when I was younger, so I was just really anticipating watching this. But the messages were rather unchristian, and any reference to Christianity was made scary or just wasn't there at all. Also, the characters weren't very well built up, and the plot was very confusing. So yeah, I did like seeing some of the characters and their arcs, but if you really want a good time, I suggest you go do something else.